As promised, we have our first two bits of D&D Beyond exclusive DLC for the Heroes of Faerun books. Today today at the time of recording this, we're getting Astarion's Book of Hungers and the Netherell Adventure book as well, which I'll be doing in the next video. I just want to take a look at everything that's on offer here with, Astarion's Book of Hungers, and talk about their character options and just how they're implementing everything, basically, to see if it is worth your money and your interest. And your other stuff. Time is limited. Anyway, let's get to it. Nice little book in comparison to some of the other stuff I review. So this is a nice change of pace for me, at least. We have 3 chapters here, basically. We've got the character options, we've got Creature of the Night, and Adventures with Astarion. So let's go through the character options to begin with. As ever, some really lovely artwork here, as is so often the case. So we do have backgrounds. You've got Carouser, Vampire Devotee, Vampire Survivor, not the Bullet Heaven game. Although that would be one heck of a crossover, wouldn't it? We're getting one new species with this book, which is the Dhampir, which is an update to the old version of the exact same class. You have a speed of 35 feet, which is a good starting point. You're humanoid, you're medium or small. I think it's a shame you're not undead. I think playing around with creature types is really useful for player options. You get dark vision up to 60 feet. You have a climb speed equal to your speed, but from level 3 onwards you can climb just using your feet, basically, Spider-Man style. You get resistance to necrotic damage, which is nice. And you get your vampiric bite. When you use your unarmed strike and deal damage, you can choose to bite with your fangs instead. You deal piercing damage equal to 1d4 plus your con modifier instead of the normal damage of an unarmed strike. In addition, when you deal damage this way that isn't to a construct or an undead, you can empower yourself in one of the following ways. You can either regain hit points equal to the damage you dealt, or you can gain a bonus to your next ability check or attack roll you make within the next minute equal to the damage dealt. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you'll gain all uses on a long rest. My understanding is that the only thing that they've really changed here is the Trace of Undeath is new. So the resistance to necrotic damage, you used to not have to breathe, now you get resistance to necrotic damage. That's an upgrade. Does feel a bit like it could have just been an errata, to be honest. I felt the same way about the Bladesinger as well in my review of that. We're getting a bunch of new feats. Let's go just through those as well. So we get 3 new origin feats. A Tireless Reveler. When an ally you can see within 60 feet of yourself expends heroic inspiration, you can gain heroic inspiration if you lack it. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you will gain all uses on a short or long rest. That's genuinely quite good. It's a solid new origin feat as long as you've got a human in the party, because they will be doing more heroic inspiration than most people. You get Vampire Hunter. You get advantage on all checks to escape from non-magical restraints or the grappled condition, and when you take necrotic damage you can take a reaction to mitigate the damage. Roll a number of d6s equal to your proficiency bonus and add them together. You reduce the damage you take by this total. You can do this once per short or long rest. That's also quite solid. It's niche, but it's solid in its niche. And then Vampire's Plaything. When you finish a long rest, you can create 1 potion of healing or an antitoxin as long as you have an empty vial or flask. These liquids evaporate when you finish another long rest. That's already good. 1 free potion of healing basically per long rest is decent, especially in campaigns where you're doing a lot of encounters. You can also take a bonus action to dash or disengage, but you can only do this a number of times equal to proficiency bonus. You gain all uses on a long rest. I don't think that would have been broken to be a short rest, but... And you have a vampiric connection. The DM determines the fate of your former vampire master. While you and your former master are on the same plane of existence, the vampire can communicate with you telepathically, and you can choose to allow the vampire to perceive through your senses. I really like that as a roleplay inspiration, basically. That's a lot of fun to have as part of the origin feat, to make sure that you've got an almost warlock-like connection. I like that quite a bit. I think the origin feats here are ironically generally stronger than the ones in the Heroes of Faerun book. Let's go for the general feats. Bloodlust. You can increase your strength, dex, or con by 1. When you roll a hit point die to regain hit points, you can treat any roll of a 1 or 2 as a 3. And once per turn, when you hit a bloody creature that isn't a construct or undead with an attack roll, you can expend a hit die, roll it, and regain a number of hit points to the number rolled equal to plus your you regain a number of hit points equal to the number rolled plus your con modifier. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. That's pretty solid. I like that they're making the whole bloodied thing a bit more impactful. I quite like it as a theming. Creatures getting stronger or weaker as they get to half health is a very RPG kind of thing, but I dig it. I don't know when I would take this feat over other physical feats like Mage Slayer or the damage specific ones. If you're going for something where survivability is your main thing, then this could be really strong, especially because obviously the two things do pair together. So if you have other ways to roll hit point die regularly, this could be quite powerful. Bomber, you increase your dex by 1. When you use the attack action to throw a vial or flask, you can target an object or creature you can see within 40 feet of yourself. That's not bad. And attacking at long range doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls with thrown weapons. That's actually pretty solid. I think that's a good one if you're playing a thrown weapon, like a soul knife, a rogue or something. That might actually be a nice kind of option for you. The extra range is certainly going to be good, and the fact that it doesn't impose disadvantage means if you are a soul knife, for example, that you can still have sneak attack on the roll too. Cloying mists, increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma by 1. You always have the fog cloud spell prepared. You can cast it once without a spell slot per long rest, and you can cast it with any other spell slots if you have them. Whenever you cast Fog Cloud, non-magical flames in the sphere are extinguished, and creatures other than you and your allies have their speed reduced by 5 feet while in the spell's sphere. This is quite niche, but there are also a lot of reasons to use Fog Cloud as a spell if you're going for heavy obscure, if you're blind fighting or something like that. This is a good way to get access to that, so it's alright. Delicious Pain, or if you're French, Delicious Pain. Stupid joke, sorry. You increase 1 ability score of your choice by 1. Immediately after you take bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, you can take a reaction to gain resistance to those 3 damages types until the start of your next turn. You can do this once per short or long rest. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm middling on it, unlike Bread, which I am a huge fan of. Lightbringer. You increase one of your spell casting stats by 1. You learn the Light spell. You can cast it without material components. You already know that cantrip. You can learn a different cleric cantrip instead. Don't hate that. When you cast Light, you can have the light be sunlight. You can do this once per long rest. That's obviously very strong if you are hunting creatures with sunlight sensitivity, like vampires, so that is solid. And as a bonus action, while within sunlight, you can expend a hit point die, roll the die, and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll. You can do this only once per short or long rest. So it's quite limited, but it's alright. Love Bites. Increase any ability score by 1, not bad. And immediately after you damage a creature with a melee weapon or unarmed strike, you can take a bonus action to give the target the charmed condition until the start of your next turn, or until you or your allies damage it. Once you use this benefit, you can't use it again until a short or long rest. Being able to inflict charm by hitting something is incredibly cool. It does take your bonus action, but it also doesn't have a save. So you can charm anything that can be charmed just by punching it, basically. Which is decent, I think, depending on other abilities that you've got. This plus the Glamour Bard, for example, where any charmed creature always fails on their command spell save, is a pretty enticing concept. Although you do have to use your bonus action and your action to do this, so you'd need haste to make that viable. Still, not bad. Putrefy, any ability score by 1. When you make a damage roll that deals necrotic damage, you can cause one creature taking that damage to have the poison condition until the start of your next turn. You can do this once per short or long rest. That's alright. Poison's a useful condition, but it's kind of alright. Rebuke, any score again. This time it's radiant damage. You can cause one huge or smaller creature to become prone. You can do this once per short or long rest. That's alright. I feel like Putrefy and Rebuke both could have been like proficiency bonus times per short or long rest. I think that would have felt better. Otherwise you have this feat once. Yeah, it's alright. I think you need something else alongside that to really make that worthwhile. Treacherous Allure, increase int, whiz, or by 1. You always have the Charm Person spell prepared. You can cast it once without a spell slot. Must long rest before you can do that again. You can also cast it using spell slots you have at the appropriate level. You have advantage on attack rolls against creatures with a charmed condition. They usually become uncharmed once you hit them, but if you can find a way around that, then that's a pretty big deal, and ultimately advantage is useful, even if it is a lot easier to come by than it used to be. Vampire Touched. Increase your int, whiz, or charisma by 1. You choose one level spell from an enchantment or illusion school of magic. You always have that spell, and the Spider Climb spell prepared. You can cast each of these without expending a spell slot, but when you cast Spider Climb this way, you must target yourself, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast them both for free again. You can also use your actual spell slots for this. So this is Fey or Shadow Touch, basically, but with enchantment or illusion. So in terms of what you could get, I mean, a free casting of Bane or Bless is pretty darn good. Command, Compelled Jewel, Dissonant Whispers, Heroism's a good one. Hex, Illusory Script, Silent Image, Silvery Barbs for free, Sleep, Tasha's hideous laughter. That's just the first party stuff. Look at the good stuff. I like the first party spells. I also like the other spells. Assisted aim is solid. Cloak of Shadow is solid. Elf shot. Pretend to shoot a tiny bow. That's the one that moves people. It's a very strange spell. I like it. It's just very strange. Pacify person. Don't have that. Rumor's a banger. Shroud blood. I mean, that vampire touched, I think, is quite strong. Spider climb obviously isn't as good as Misty Step, which is very, very good. But there are a bunch of spells on those spell lists which I do think are very worth having. Bless is always good. You can also upcast it because you actually get access to the spell. Same with Bane. Bane is also very good. That's good. And is also, I hope they introduce more of these kind of feats along that exact same design ethos, because I love those feats. They are good. And then finally we get 3 epic boons. A boon of Blazing Dawn. Any ability, you have immunity to radiant damage. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, it can be radiant or the normal damage. And once per turn, when you hit a creature with radiant damage, you can emit bright light for 30 feet, dim light for an additional 30 feet, and it's sunlight. That's fun, but niche. Boon of Looming Shadows. Any ability, when you take the attack action, your reach for your melee weapon attacks increases by 10 feet until the end of your turn. And you can take the dodge action as a bonus action. That can be good for great sword fighters, that kind of thing. I don't hate it. And Boon of Misty Escape. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma by 1. If you drop to 0 hit points but aren't killed outright, you can instead drop to 1 hit point and cast Gaseous Form without expending a spell slot. When you cast this spell this way, you can only target yourself. Your fly speed is 20 feet. I believe it's 10 feet normally. Yeah, so double speed. That's not bad. And you regain 10 hit points at the start of each of your turns for the spell's duration. It lasts for an hour. That's a lot of hit points. The spell's spellcasting ability is the one you increase with the feat. You can only do this once per long rest. That's solid, though, because it's actually not a reaction. That's just a thing you can do, which is a lot of fun. I think the character options in this are a lot more solid than they are in the Heroes of Faerun book, personally. They're all obviously thematic, but I like them. So yeah, if that's what you're looking for, I think the book does all right. But that's not all it has. I'm not going to go into as much detail over these things, but it does also have details on some more creatures. We love some creatures, including some devils. Cazador Sar's family, which you will know if you've played Baldur's Gate 3 all the way through. And some more vampire stat blocks as well. That's pretty cool. What have we got? CR 14. I love high CR creatures. CR 12. Good stuff. CR 3. This is just a little dude. It's just a little guy. It's a CR1. It's just a little dude. I love a little dude. And we've also got Adventures with Astarion. This is a list of short adventure concepts, basically. Adventure for level 12 characters, adventure level 3 characters. So it's those 2, and then you've also got the tavern itself, so the Rats Run Tavern, and maps. Always nice to have some maps. The specific locations. This goes into quite a lot of detail, actually, which is nice, because the Heroes of Faerun book really didn't. It's also got loot. Wonder Fireballs, banger. But yeah, that's it for the Astarion Book of Hungers. I really like that. I think that's a solid little book. You get some player options, you get some adventure stuff, you get a couple creatures. It's good. How much is it? It is. It's $15. Is it worth $15? Monetary value is inherently different person by person because of how much spare money you have or don't have. Obviously, if you pre-ordered the digital versions, one of the bundles, then you get this for free, which is what I did because I'm a sap. I don't think that's a bad price for it at all. I think the class options are solid. It would have been nice to have a subclass or two that was also vampire themed, like a vampire hunter fighter, or obviously a vampire warlock would have been amazing in these books, and I think that would really help boost the value of them. But I do think it's fairly solid, all in all. Not a bad one. And it's kind of nice to have like a general good vibe after how I felt about the Faerun books, which I thought were very mixed. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, do like and subscribe. I'll be releasing my thoughts on the Netheril book, which will probably be a little bit shorter because there's no player options on that. But I'll be doing that on Friday. Do take care until next time. I do hope you'll join me again. But either way, goodbye.